Have you ever been told that what you saw, you didn't really see? That what you heard, you misunderstood? That what you felt was just you being too sensitive, too emotional, too much? I have. For 4 years I was told exactly that, by the one person whose words I trusted more than my own mind. My name is Sophia, and for 4 years I almost believed him. Almost. I was 29 when I met Daniel. Confident, well-spoken, the kind of man who always had the right answer for everything. Our friends adored him. My family thought he was wonderful. And in the beginning, so did I. But somewhere in our second year together, something changed. So slowly I couldn't point to the exact moment. Like a room getting darker. So gradually you don't realize. The light is gone until you can barely see your own hands. It started with small corrections. The way I remembered things was always slightly wrong according to Daniel. A conversation I recalled clearly. He remembered differently. An agreement we had made. He had no memory of it. A promise he had given me. I had misunderstood. You always do this, he would say with a patient, tired sigh. You twist things in your head, and then get upset about a version that never happened. And I would stand there, replaying the memory, questioning myself, wondering if I was losing my mind. Then came the whisper campaign. It began subtly, a comment to a mutual friend here, a concerned word to my sister there. Daniel painting a gentle, worried picture of a woman who was struggling, who was not quite herself, who sometimes got confused and said things that weren't accurate. By year 3, I had watched my own reputation, quietly dismantled by the person who was supposed to protect it. People started looking at me differently, checking my reactions, hesitating before agreeing with me in group conversations. I could feel the shift, the way you can feel a change in temperature before you can name it. And Daniel, calm, concerned, caring Daniel, would put his arm around me at gatherings and say, "She's been having a hard time lately. We're working through it." But what Daniel did not know, what he could not have known, was that I had started writing everything down. A small notebook, plain cover. I kept it in a place he never looked. Every incident, every correction, every moment he told me I had remembered something wrong. I wrote down my version immediately, with the date and time, before I could be talked out of it. I'm not sure what made me start. Some quiet, stubborn part of me that refused to fully surrender. Some small voice that kept saying, "You are not imagining this. Write it down." By month 8 of keeping that notebook, I had filled 43 pages. 43 pages of dates, conversations, promises made and then denied, moments witnessed and then erased. 43 pages of a pattern so clear and consistent that looking at it made my hands shake, not with doubt, but with the terrifying clarity of finally seeing something completely. I was not crazy. I had never been crazy. I had been deliberately, systematically made to feel that way. The realization did not come with anger, not immediately. It came with grief, deep, quiet grief for the years I had spent doubting myself, for the friendships I had pulled back from because I was ashamed of the version of me Daniel had been quietly presenting to the world. For the confidence I had arrived in this relationship with and watched erode, slowly like stone underwater. I sat with that grief for 2 weeks, let myself feel every part of it, and then I made a decision. I was going to show everyone exactly what I had been living with. Not dramatically, not desperately, methodically in the same way it had been done to me, but in reverse. I reached out quietly to 3 people Daniel had specifically influenced against me. My closest friend from before the relationship, my sister, and a colleague who had once pulled away from me following a conversation with Daniel that I had never been told about. I met each of them separately, showed them the notebook, talked them through it, calmly, clearly, without tears or accusations. Just dates and facts and patterns laid out on the table. Each conversation ended the same way. Silence. Then, "I am so sorry, I had no idea." The moment of reckoning came at a dinner party hosted by mutual friends. Daniel's territory, a room full of people. He had carefully cultivated his version of events with. I arrived looking completely composed, because I was. I did not make a speech. I did not cause a scene. What I had done, in the weeks leading up to that evening, was simply tell the truth. Quietly, personally, directly, person by person. The truth, with the notebook as evidence, spreading through our social circle the same way his whisper campaign had, but in the opposite direction. By the time Daniel walked into that party, the room had already shifted. I watched it happen in real time, the subtle change in how people greeted him. The conversations that paused when he approached. The friend who had once repeated his concerned words about me back to him, and who now looked at him with something entirely different in her eyes. Daniel found me across the room, and for the first time since I had known him, he looked uncertain. He pulled me aside. "What have you been saying to people?" I looked at him calmly. "The truth," I said. "With dates." He had nothing after that. We ended shortly after. Cleanly. On my terms. I moved into my own space. A small apartment with good light and complete silence and not a single voice telling me I was remembering things wrong. The friendships came back, slowly then all at once. My sister called me every week. My confidence that the real one, the one I had arrived with, began to return quietly and steadily. Like a plant that had been kept from sunlight finally finding a window, Daniel moved through the social circle for a while, attempting to rewrite the story once more. But a story told with dates and evidence is very difficult to rewrite. Here is what 4 years and 43 pages taught me. When someone works hard to make you doubt your own mind, that is not love. That is control. And the most powerful thing you can do is trust yourself enough to write it down. He told everyone I was crazy. I proved every single word, with 43 pages and a pen.